You've used the term resource-based filmmaking?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that versus micro budget, no budget, low budget, ultra low budget. Like, budget is relative to who you are, so, and within which context you're creating. So for, you know, the studio system, $5 million is a low budget film. So I really think it's pointless to talk in terms of, or to label in terms of budget, micro budget, no budget. Although, yeah, even I've heard of no budget films for like $10,000. I mean, so I call it resource-based filmmaker. Because I think most often when people mention no budget, micro budget, ultra low, what they're really talking about is resource-based filmmaking. And this is something I'm really passionate about, like, especially right now in my career, for a number of reasons. But in a nutshell, what I consider resource-based filmmaking is, rather than allowing your imagination at the conception level, at the beginning stages of creating a film or a script, writing a script, rather than allowing your imagination to just go wild, you know, a story that takes place during the War of 1812, you know, about a troop or something, you know, you gotta start with your resources. What do I have access to? Guaranteed access, or near guarantee. My mom's basement. You know, I may not even be able to get her living room, you know, but her basement, she doesn't care. My best friend's cabin in the woods, you know. Now those are physical things. Maybe my dad is a Civil War gun freak, so I got all these Civil War guns, you know. Talent. What do I have connections? Who do I have connections with in terms of talent, including crew? They have talent too, so I call them talent. Do I know a really good cinematographer? Do I know a really good sound person? Do I know a really good sound designer? So the point is, you begin with your resources, including, and this is the big one, yourself. What is my level of talent? What is my resource as a filmmaker? Because chances are, if you're at the beginning stages, you probably couldn't even direct a War of 1812 love story or something, you know? So you have to discover what your box is too in terms of talent. So that to me is resource-based. So you take your resources, an honest inventory. I literally have a list of locations and actors, and then you allow that to inspire you. So your mom's basement and your dad's Civil War collection, maybe it's a heist movie of people that want to get in there, a group of guys who, you know, want to take a trip to Vegas, they have no money, and they hear about the Civil War collection in the basement, and it's a heist movie in this basement and they're after the Civil War memorabilia or whatever. You know, so you get inspired by your resources. That's resource-based filmmaking. Now, what I'm really passionate about resource-based filmmaking is, and why I advocate it so much to people, is because it enables you to make your film. Since I've lived in Los Angeles my entire life, but since I've been making films, I've been more in the film community. So over the last few years, I've met countless people, including some friends, who are still trying, they're waiting on an investor. They're waiting for this actor to read their script, or their manager. They're waiting for this location. They're waiting for this, waiting for that, because they wrote elements into their script that they have no access to. And I'm sorry, but they're nobodies, okay? Going back to nobody filmmaking. They don't have a right to ask for this. They don't have a right to approach this A-lister unless their aunt is the A-lister's haircut stylist or something. Then you may have a right. But that's what I'm most passionate about with resource-based filmmaking, is it enables you, it empowers you to make this film. Because now you're a filmmaker, not a film developer or a film waiter. You're a filmmaker. And that's why I'm really excited about resource-based filmmaking. That's why I advise it to everyone.
In terms of resources, and especially too, because you have both that left brain and right brain, so you're geared toward money in some sense. How far into someone's personal resources do they go? And if they don't have those resources, what do they put on a credit card and what do they not?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Mark Stolaroff. He started the No Budget Film School. He's like a huge champion for folks like me. He's so supportive and great. I'm a big fan of him. And his rule in the No Budget Film School, which I've attended, is do not spend your own money. That's his rule. But he has confessed that he breaks it every time. Because I think that rule, you can't. You can't uphold that rule. I mean, you can, but I don't think you need to. So in my opinion, it really comes down to the person and your loved ones. Say you're married, you have a partner, whatever, your family, your parents. You just, whatever you responsibly can afford. That's it. You know, if, you know, you got a couple $1,000 saved or whatever. It's just as long as you're being responsible with your resources. But, you know, if you spend $10,000 to make a movie rather than buy a car, but you keep bumming off rides off me as your friend, that would annoy me, you know? That's not responsible. So I would say whatever you could comfortably spend. But I do believe in spending your own money, definitely not going into debt. I completely disagree with that. Absolutely, positively disagree with that. But if you do have cash, there's nothing wrong with that. My wife and I, we spent, for my feature film, which we recently did, we spent about $8,000 of our own cash. But that was saved up money for things like this.
And what about people spending $8,000 on a short? So
absolutely disagree with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I disagree with that. Like, shorts do not have monetary value. That's pretty much a fact. At best, you might get like $500 to screen it in Italy or something. The only way it could be justified is if you make just the most phenomenal short film. And that could lead to, I guess, professional advancement. So it's kind of like going to college or something like that. But I'm generally against it. I think it would behoove you to take that $8,000 and make something that you could perhaps capitalize on, profit on, which would be a feature film, or something a little bit more significant, meaty, such as a web series. Or you could spend that $8,000 on just, you know, like more of a long-term vision, such as like developing a website for yourself, branding yourself, things like that. And then in the meantime, making resource-based films. I'm not a big fan of $8,000 for a short film. I've never been a fan. And I know people have done it and just got them nothing. Big mistake. You could wow the world with a 1-minute short film shot on your living room couch. You don't need $8,000.
And tape was in one room.
Yeah, you don't need it.